Viewers, as you can see on your screens, grievous rioting in Nagpur has left a trail of injured people, among them at least 15 police personnel, one of whom was in a serious condition till we last checked. The riots were triggered when a group from a particular area were, viewers, incited by members of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad calling for the deplatforming of Aurangzeb, burnt an effigy of the Mughal emperor who spread communal tyranny in the 17th century. The rioting began last evening, viewers. At 1 p.m. there was a protest, as I told you, by VHP and Bajrang Dal over Aurangzeb's tomb. They want Aurangzeb's tomb to be quarantined, closed to the public, closed to anyone entering its premises to pay respects. This protest went on for a few hours. By 7:30 in the evening yesterday, the first group gathers at Shivaji Chowk, raises slogans against those who still like to put Aurangzeb on a pedestal. At the very same time, viewers, a second group assembles at Mahal area of Nagpur. In about 5 minutes, the police is deployed to control the situation. But viewers, despite the police presence, at 9 p.m. clashes erupt, leading to stone pelting. Public property is damaged as a result of the stone pelting, and those visuals that have been carefully treated, labeled, annotated, so to speak, tell you how the evening progressed. Violent mobs then set public equipment on fire, vehicles on fire. They pelt stones also at the police. All this by about 9:20 p.m. This is when 24 hours ago, viewers, we broke that story to bring to you the pictures from Nagpur. By about 9:30, the police had fired tear gas to disperse the crowd and bring the situation under control. Even now as we speak, Nagpur is tense. Today, the State Chief Minister, Devendra Fadnavis, issued a statement in the Maharashtra legislature linking the violence to what he believed is a premeditated conspiracy aimed at disrupting peace. These are his words, not mine. Let's listen to him, viewers.
काही ना काही एक प्रकारे काही लोकांचा सुनियोजित पॅटर्न हा देखील त्या ठिकाणी दिसतो आहे. अशा लोकांना त्या ठिकाणी त्यांच्यावर कारवाई ही केलीच जाईल. कुठल्याही परिस्थितीमध्ये कायदा आणि सुव्यवस्था हाती घेण्याची कोणालाही परवानगी या ठिकाणी देण्यात येणार नाही. आणि मी एक गोष्ट स्पष्टपणे सांगतो, पोलिसांवर ज्यांनी हल्ला केला असेल त्यांना काय झालं तरी सोडलं जाणार नाही.
The opposition, viewers, slammed the Chief Minister, who happens to be a legislator from Nagpur. Several opposition leaders pinned the blame on the BJP for what they said was an attempt at weaponizing Aurangzeb's legacy to consolidate its Hindu voter base. Aditya Thackeray of the UBT Sena, for example, came out and said, and I quote him, "Sadly, when the BJP cannot govern, they resort to violence and riots. If you look at Manipur, that is exactly what they want to convert Maharashtra to. They're trying to dig up the history of someone who lived over 300 years ago, but they cannot speak about the future and the present," unquote. Pawan Khera, the national spokesperson of the Congress party, came out and said, I quote again, viewers, "Riot broke out in the Mahal area of Nagpur, the hometown of Maharashtra Chief Minister Fadnavis. Nagpur is a 300-year-old city. In those 300 years of history, no riot has occurred in Nagpur. We should all ask why such a situation formed. BJP is in power in both the centre and the state. If VHP and Bajrang Dal organized a protest demanding the removal of the tomb of Aurangzeb, did the government make no arrangements to maintain law and order?" Unquote. Mayawati, BSP Supremo, came out and issued another statement saying, and I quote, "It is not right to damage or break anyone's grave or mausoleum in Maharashtra because this is spoiling the mutual brotherhood, peace and harmony there," unquote. But one is entitled to ask, viewers, how can deplatforming Aurangzeb be an affront to brotherhood? Which brother would shed a tear for his brother's nemesis? It could be argued that had quote, liberal, unquote, politicians been more mindful of Hindu sentiments and not issued statements extolling Aurangzeb, the Nagpur riots wouldn't have happened. Hindu groups hurt by the effrontery, as they call it, wouldn't be out protesting. Several nations, viewers, by consensus enact laws criminalizing the glorification of figures associated with the suppression of indigenous populations. Here are some hard facts. In Germany, Section 130 of the Penal Code criminalized the glorification of Adolf Hitler and Nazi regime. In Austria, the Verbotsgesetz 1947 bans any form of Nazi glorification, including eulogies for Hitler or other Nazi leaders. France criminalizes the denial of crimes against humanity through the Geso Act of 1990. In Spain, the Democratic Memory Law of 2022 criminalizes the glorification of Francisco Franco and his dictatorship that lasted between 1939 and 1975. There are many examples. Uganda's judiciary ruled in favor of removing British colonial monuments and renaming streets in Kampala. Latvia, in June 2013, Latvia's parliament approved a ban on the display of Nazi and Soviet symbols at public events, including flags, anthems, uniforms, and the swastika. Lithuania, again, viewers, bans the display of Nazi symbols. Additionally, the law on meetings prohibits gatherings involving Nazi and Soviet imagery, aiming to prevent the glorification of oppressive regimes. In Hungary, a similar code exists that criminalizes the use of symbols associated with totalitarian regimes, including swastika, SS insignia, the Red Star, reflecting a broader effort to prevent the glorification of oppressive ideologies. Italy, same, viewers, almost. So down to the last letter. The facts pose several questions. Should there even be a mausoleum, memorial to Aurangzeb in inclusive modern-day India? How does a movement to deplatform Aurangzeb undermine a spirit of brotherhood? Has the time come to criminalize the gratuitous glorification of Aurangzeb? There are several questions, but let's open this up for a frank debate, but hopefully not one that becomes communally charged. And Sanjay Jha, let me begin with you tonight. This is a very sensitive issue, and we shouldn't, of course, jump to apportion guilt. And I'm not doing that. I want to really talk about the larger issue here, the larger principle, if you will. Mr. Jha, are opposition parties that appear to be whitewashing Aurangzeb's legacy, are they doing so to appease a certain vote bank? And should there even be a mausoleum or a memorial, if you like, to Aurangzeb and inclusive modern-day India?
Rahul, I'm very glad that you have presaged this program by saying that this is a sensitive and important discussion. I believe it is, and I would respectfully, therefore, like a very engaging conversation with everyone being given equal amount of time. You mentioned a couple of examples of bigots being celebrated all over the world. We have one classic one in India, actually. Nathuram Godse, the man who murdered Gandhi, had people who were members of parliament. In fact, you had many people from the ruling party that said that he should be celebrated as a patriot. So, all countries have this very peculiar self-destructive habit of celebrating those who in fact possibly destroyed some of the greatest national icons. But let's come down to this conversation in Maharashtra. You lived here in Mumbai. I live here in Mumbai as we talk. I'm very proud to be in Maharashtra for several decades now. It makes me feel very sad as a citizen, forget speaking for the India Alliance here, to see this great state, not just a commercial capital or the entertainment universe of India, but to see this state becoming like a communal tinderbox saddens me. And I mean that in a very genuine way. It appeared very awkward to me that suddenly a Mughal emperor, no matter how vile and venomous and his history is known, fair enough, but how is this emperor resurrected for a political gain by the BJP will go down in the history books over the years to come. It will be known, it's documented. You have a chief minister of a state who makes a very, I would say, forthright statement that the tomb of Aurangzeb must be removed. If you think that was stated only with the sole purpose of trying to appease his very disturbed sentiments, it was not. He's a politician. And we all know what politicians like. And especially if you read the history of riots in this country, it has a standard playbook. It follows an SOP: create tension, raise the communal temperature, let rumors fly, and then the innocent from both sides become victims to whatever happens. Ajay Alok comes from Bihar, I come from Bihar. We have seen that happen in Bihar as well. Here is the point. There is a leader, Rahul, in fact, you should get your research team to put out his statements, who goes by the name of Mr. Rane. He's a member of the Maharashtra cabinet. Put out his hate speeches. I'm telling you guys, you will shiver to your spine to believe that this guy is part of the Maharashtra government. And obviously, the government has done nothing. And the statements are so full of hate and animus that, I don't care which political preference your viewers have, but you will feel sick in your heart as to how much of hate and, kind of internal violence there is in individuals who have begun to treat human beings who are citizens of the same country with such a very malicious and a malignant eye. I want to basically let everyone speak, but one thing that worries me, Rahul, when you talk about this Aurangzeb issue, that the chief minister comes from Nagpur. Nagpur is the headquarters of the RSS, and since we debate very often, law and order is something that the government needs to look and understand long before anybody else does. The fact that these riots have happened, there is a home minister of the state, we know who that is. What were they doing? And my biggest worry is, are these being engineered deliberately? You create a tinderbox, you allow situations to get out of control,
No, fair
and
enough.
then obviously you pulverize one community and make them look like the fifth columnists.
Okay, but
By the way, let me add one point before I end up. I strongly condemn the violence, in case anybody makes an accusation that anybody is endorsing violence. Absolutely not. Nobody in their right senses can condone that.
Okay.
But bottom line is, who is triggering this and why?
But I began by asking a couple of questions, and I made those questions rather pointed, saying that should there even be a mausoleum to Aurangzeb in an inclusive modern day India? Now, let me give you an example of what actually happens when you allow certain individuals a free pass. Now, Dr. Ranganathan might remember this, but and I want to bring him in. When Yaqub Memon, who was the Islamist terrorist, when his funeral procession took place, hundreds and thousands of people from a particular community lined up to pay last respects. Now, this was an individual who was condemned to death after being convicted by the Supreme Court for carrying out one of the worst terror attacks on Hindus. I mean, there was no doubt about who his targets were. Unfortunately, Muslims also died, but he was taking revenge for what he claimed was a great desecration of Muslim rights in this country. So, are we just cherry picking? I'm sure we would condemn the number of people who showed up to extol the virtues of a Yaqub Memon. And isn't that, in a sense, disregarding Hindu sentiments? Dr. Ranganathan, where do you stand on what Sanjay Jha has sort of spoken about tonight?
Yeah, good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Thank you for this important discussion. I think it's not about what Sanjay has spoken. It's about what you said. It's about double standards, and it's about a weak state ultimately relenting to the power of street veto and the power of unabated hate. For example, when you talk about the tens of thousands of Mumbaikars, Muslims who gathered to pay their last respects to a terrorist Yaqub Memon who perpetrated bombs and violence in their own city, and we did nothing about it. Well, that then went on exponentially, and now people are not only celebrating Indian terrorists. You remember what happened to after Hassan Nasrallah? There were tens of thousands of Indians from Kashmir down to even Tamil Nadu, Kanyakumari, who were celebrating and eulogizing this terrorists from the Middle East. So if you do not stop this, if you don't ebb this, this kind of hatred becomes all pervasive. But I want to come back to this discussion because I want to be clear about one thing. There is no difference between Aurangzeb apologists and Holocaust deniers. Twisted minds in need of immediate medical intervention. In fact, I would say any Muslim who celebrates Aurangzeb has ISIS hide, and any Hindu who celebrates Aurangzeb is ISIS bride. There are three issues here, and all three have cropped up. One, why is Aurangzeb being wrongly branded evil? Two, why rake up historical injustices? Why can't we forget what Aurangzeb did 300 years ago? And three, why provoke or trigger Muslims into rioting? Let's go one by one to all these three because all three are important. Number one, it goes without saying Aurangzeb was Baghdadi 350 years before ISIS. He imposed tax only on non-Muslims, beheaded Guru Tegh Bahadur, entombed Sahibzadas alive, decapitated Sambhaji Maharaj, demolished Kashi Vishwanath and thousands of temples, murdered 4.6 million Hindus. This is all well documented, principally through his authentic biography, Masir-e-Alamgiri. So we know that Aurangzeb was a monster, and to celebrate him is like celebrating Hitler. Now the second important point, why rake up historical injustices? Why can't we forget what Aurangzeb did 300 years ago? Well, Rahul, as I say, nations weaken not because of their past, but rather by how they are taught it. And for 70 years, we've been taught to forget our historical injustices. From Somnath to Kashi Vishwanath, Babarpur to Bakhtiarpur, Allahabad to Aurangabad, Martan to Mathura, these injustices have deliberately been made visible as to lionize the debasement, celebrate the humiliation. And the irony is that the same people who counsel us to forget raking up Aurangzeb and his genocides, who have taught us to forget historical injustices, drilled this self-loathing in us. These same people want others to fight historical injustice around the world. They revel in burning Manusmriti. They want reparations and reservations for the historical injustices committed by the upper caste. They run 1619 slavery awareness campaign. They demand apologies from the nations for historical injustices towards the indigenous people like the Aboriginals. They condemn barbarians of the West hither to worship like the Confederacy generals, Rhodes, Churchill, Pizarro, Murray, Colston, Leopold. They celebrate their roads and buildings being renamed, their statues being brought down illegally. But here in India, this same set eulogizes barbarians like Tipu, Aurangzeb, Babar, Khilji. Why? I'll tell you why. It is a heady mix of hatred for Hinduism and love for jihadism. Hatred for India and love for its breakup. It is all hate, hate, hate. Otherwise, tell me, is there a Hitler Road in Tel Aviv? Why rake up Hitler and his genocide? Why support punishment for Holocaust deniers? Why throw those who celebrate Nazism in jail? Finally, very briefly on the third point. Why provoke and trigger Muslims into rioting, burning vehicles, pelting stones, attacking cops? Well, here too, Hindus are being blamed for starting it by burning an effigy of Aurangzeb and claiming that a cloth with an embroidered verse was burnt. Well, by that same logic, should Hindus riot every time you burn Manusmriti or Ramcharitmanas? So stop blaming Hindus by saying they provoke the Muslims. The essence of Azan, which is there is no God but Allah and no one has the right to be worshipped but Allah 4062, exemplified through the loudspeaker 5 times a day, whole year round near a temple is not provocative. But celebrating Ram Navami or singing Bhajman Ramcharan Sukhdai one day in a year near a mosque or burning Aurangzeb effigy is, and besides, provocation is subjective. Only violent people are provoked into violence. And this is the same, just 10 seconds. Same justification given every time they attack Hindus. This action-reaction provocation theory, Rahul. But why don't they apply this same theory to Godhra riots and justify them as a reaction to the train burning? There, they don't bring this action-reaction theory. So I'm afraid this is a discussion that will go only one way if you have to be logical. And the one way is stop celebrating, eulogizing Aurangzeb. Stop it.
Okay, so I'll come back to you, Sanjay Jha. Can I come back to you? Let me just open it up with everyone else and then we can have second rounds of reactions. Thank you for being patient. But Dr. Raman, let me just ask you very clearly this question, and I want to bring in the BJP right after. Dr. Raman, why is it becoming so difficult for certain opposition leaders to distance themselves from those that seem to be apologists for Aurangzeb? And are Hindus, from the sense that I got from what Dr. Ranganathan is saying, I'm getting the sense that Hindus are being made to feel guilty about opposing those people who are glorifying an individual that caused them a lot of grief and hurt and continues to do so. Is this fair?
Rahul, first of all, let me say that I've just listened to 7 minutes of what is a most divisive and what I would go as far as call a hate speech. It is purely to spread poison and venom in society, and I feel deeply apologetic, to be sitting in this panel and listening to this. And of course, it was a script was today much longer than it normally is, which is why probably just to spread the divisiveness more. Let me make one thing very clear. India is about the present. This government seems to be wanting it to be only either about the past or about the future, never about the present. Either in 2047 we will have all these things, or 300 years ago somebody did this to you, 800 years ago somebody else did something else to you. The people want a better life for themselves today, for God's sake. They want jobs, they want economic development, they want better roads, they want better infrastructure, for God's sake. Can't you people understand that? Again and again and again, spreading divisiveness. Look, opposition politicians speak irresponsibly everywhere in the country, irrespective of political parties. When they are in the opposition, they speak irresponsibly. It is most unfortunate that a chief minister has spoken in the manner that Mr. Fadnavis did on the 10th, virtually throwing his weight behind the demand, saying that it only adding a caveat that the removal has to be done under the due process of law.
Yes.
So this is extremely you cannot, that if that is not a statement that could have caused disquiet. Now, perfectly all right. If you feel that's fine, that's fine. That's your call. But my point is, does it raise the GDP of the country, removing Aurangzeb's grave? Second, does it improve healthcare for one Indian? Does it improve the quality of life for anybody? What madness is this? What are we doing as a nation? And yesterday's violence was most condemnable. But it would never have happened had this entire issue not been raised and stoked in a systematic manner over the last 10 days, 15 days. And Rahul, let's face it, there have to be at some point a line that is drawn, saying thus far, no further. This country needs to move forward, not backwards.
Okay.
And I hope the people of India who are watching this can remember that none of this is going to help improve their lot, neither for Hindus nor for Muslims. I'm not talking about improving. If this is not going to improve the condition of the Hindus either, despite those who are spreading venom and poison and divisiveness day after day after day and night after night on national media.
Don't go back in time, says Dr. Raman. One second, let me bring in the BJP national spokesperson. I just want to add one little fact then. If by that logic, why is constantly Narendra Modi adjuncted to the Gujarat riots of 2002? And why is the BJP always adjuncted to the Babri demolitions of 1992? Why do we always go back in time? Viewers, look, we can be selective about the examples we pick to bolster our arguments, but again I find that the elephant in the room is not being addressed, and that is, are those people, and that's a question I'm posing, and I would love an honest answer. For example, where are the ordinary Muslims? Fine, you say that the opposition acts irresponsibly whenever they are in opposition. That doesn't give anyone a free pass, by the way, but still, okay, let's take it at face value. But where are the ordinary Muslims who are coming out and saying that we don't want this eulogy or the edification of Aurangzeb in our name? Sorry, we don't identify either with his worldview. Where are these people? Where are the moderates? Where are the so-called liberal, social cohesionists? Where are all these people? Or are we always going to be taunted by pulling out figures from the past? Nonetheless, the BJP needs to answer a couple of questions, and here it is. And I have to ask you this, Ajay Alok. There is a BJP government at the state level and at the center. If you believe that Aurangzeb is such an egregious character, why don't you change the laws? The law at this moment in time, which governs the place where Mr. Aurangzeb was interred, for example, protects that place. Remove it from that list of protected sites. What's stopping you from grabbing the bull by the horn, so to speak? End the debate. Or criminalize.
You're right.
If you feel that
You're
it's
right,
so, it's
You're
so,
right.
criminalize anybody who gratuitously glorifies Aurangzeb. Criminalize the law. Do what the Europeans have done.
No, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Like Devendra Fadnavis, I also say Aurangzeb grave should not be here. And we'll take steps. But it has to do with methods. It cannot be done abruptly. Like when we removed all the British invaders and all the signs of British invasions, there were not much hue and cry and protest. There were some, but not much. But in your 21 minutes of debate, I'm amazed by the intellectual hypocrisy for all the people sitting here, talking about divisiveness. Where is the divisiveness? The divisiveness is increasing. Go to and check the historical facts, my dear friend. Anand just has mentioned 2.6 million Hindus massacred by only Aurangzeb. But till now, since the Mughal entered and since the Tughlaq was also there, 9.6 million Hindus were massacred alone. And we were not divisive. What a hypocrisy. The call by Jinnah, the final day action, Calcutta took 10,000 lives of Hindus, but we were not divisive. The partition took 9.5 lakhs Hindus' lives. We were not divisive. The Ganga Jamuni Tarjib continues to duel like that. We were never divisive. So many riots under the umbrella of the Congress happened, where both Hindus and Muslims were killed. We were not divisive. We were very progressive. Gujarat riot happens, we started becoming divisive. Narendra Modi coming to power, we started becoming divisive. And who is Aurangzeb? This is the mindset, what we are troubled at. Nobody keeps a name of Jaichand or for that matter Ravan or for that matter Vibhishan, Man Singh in Hindu family. But yes, the matter of pride is what? Osama. Then Aurangzeb, Jahangir, Akbar, Humayun. And now we are saying Burhan Wani also is a matter of pride of keeping the name. This is the mindset. What is this mindset? The problem is we don't hit the nail. The nail is today India is Darul-e-Harb, land of conflict for them. And they want to make it Darul-e-Islam. You want to happen? You want to make that happen? Because you guys are aiding and abetting that Darul-e-Harb in becoming Darul-e-Islam. You are responsible for increase of Muslim population from 7% to 18% of this country. You guys are responsible for 70 years. It's you had to take the control in the last 70 years. You didn't do it because of your intellectual hypocrisy and your vote bank politics. This is the naked truth, what I'm telling. And at the back of the mind, when you'll go back in your house, you'll remember this. And don't forget, because of your actions, today people are facing this wrath. Because where there is majoritarianism of Islamic majority, Hindus are being thrown out. Hindus are being thrown out. I'm telling you about Bihar, I'm telling you about West Bengal, I'm telling you about Kashmir. We have already seen what happened to Hindus in Kashmir. This is not uniting people, this is divisiveness that was always there. It's for us to control and check.
No, but I'm asking you.
But people like you, people like Sanjay Jha, people like Congress Party, they create the divisiveness more and more.
Criminalize-
Because it suits your political interest.
Okay, now let's not speak over each other. One second, doctor, 1 second.
I have a right to rejoinder.
Yes. 1 second.
Ask him to tell us.
1 second. Let's not speak over each other. Let's go person by person.
Right.
If you have a point to make, just raise your hands, please. Let's just be a little calm. This is a sensitive issue. I don't want any loose remarks, which I haven't heard, to be broadcast, and then there's a huge amount of chaos on social media and people then sort of holding you up for all sorts of things. So just being very, very clear. Ajay, look, I want to ask you, yes, you are aggrieved on behalf of hundreds and thousands of Hindus. Why don't you criminalize the gratuitous glorification of Aurangzeb? If you feel that strongly, you can at least do that. I'm not talking about deplatforming him. I'm not talking about removing his statues or eviscerating his grave or quarantining or locking it up or whatever. I'm just talking about criminalizing the gratuitous glorification of people like... Yeah, I mean, bring in a law.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right, Rahul. I agree to you what you are saying, that since we are in the government at the center and the state, we must do it. I agree to you. But
Okay,
there's a way to go.
So walk the talk. So
we did it. We got the Kartavya Path done. We removed the famous Victoria Channel from our Indian Navy, which was not done for the last 70 years. Can you answer me why it was not done?
No, that might
We
be
have
so.
done many things.
We all know
and
the
we will do many
reasons,
things.
but the fact of the matter is that you're now in power.
We don't want to do anything in a knee-jerk reaction.
Okay,
we don't want to do anything in a knee-jerk reaction.
But clearly,
today it has come in front of. Let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one fact. I'm just talking about facts. Can any of the gentlemen here disagree with me that 99% of Muslims of this country are from converted Hindus. They are not a Mughal descendants. Then why is so hue and furor about Aurangzeb?
What do you
Was he a
want to
god?
do, sir? Sir, in history across many
No, I
nations,
just want to
these
say
are
why
things-
there was
what
a
do you
hue and
want to
cry.
do about
Okay,
for
okay,
Aurangzeb,
gentlemen,
and
gentlemen,
why you
I
are
have to lower
supporting it?
everyone's faders,
Why
please.
people get
I
instigated?
can't hear
Nobody-
any one of
Why
you
people
speaking.
get
I'm going to lower your
instigated?
faders. I'm counting till 3, please. Let's not speak over each other. I beg you. 1, 2, 3, please. I want to bring in Sanjay Jha. He had raised his hand. I'll come back to you, Dr. Raman. I'll also bring in Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Yes, Sanjay Jha, you wanted to make a point.
Yeah. First and foremost, I would like to tell my friend Ajay Alok, please do not spread fake news. The proportion of Muslims in India's population is not 18%, it's 14%, and 4% is a big difference. Please do not use numbers in a casual fashion.
14% is a
Point
long
number
back
two,
census.
You know, Rahul.
Long
you know,
back
Rahul,
census.
Okay,
Ajay,
okay.
can
It's
you- Ajay, can you
14%.
have a
Let's
civilized
stick to
chat?
the facts. There's no other. There has been no other census after 2011. So let's stick with that number. Okay. Yes. Sanjay Jha. Yes.
Number two, Rahul, the biggest politics being done in our country today is what we call as dog whistle politics. As Sumant rightly pointed out, Fadnavis makes a statement and you realize it's a dog whistle. It's a signal to the large fanatical followers to
Yeah, but
kind of
everyone's
take it
guilty
up
on
and
that
say,
score. Sanjay Jha, let's be honest. Put your hand on your heart and tell me, what was Rahul Gandhi doing marching with a hate preacher?
Rahul, let me finish.
I mean, let's
Rahul,
be
let me
honest.
finish. Rahul, let me finish.
Sure.
Ajay Alok needs to answer at some point that, you know, in the floor of the new parliament, I don't think I have ever heard a more unprecedented, vulgar and a violent speech as was made by Ramesh Budhuri of the BJP. That is your true DNA, Ajay. You can't change that.
No, one
whether
second,
it's
one
bulldozer,
second.
whether
Look-
it's lynching.
Look, one
that's
second,
your
one
true
second.
face.
Now,
You can't
Ajay
run
Alok
away
will
from it.
recite.
The
Ajay
mask
Alok
is
will
off.
give you.
That's your DNA.
Okay, but Ajay Alok will give you 5 other examples of
I'm
so-called
not done
secular
yet, Rahul.
leaders being equally
Rahul,
communal.
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Now let me finish. I'll take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I want to give you a quote which I
Not
think applies
communal,
to the
anti-national.
BJP.
Anti-national.
I'll tell you, Rahul, what
Who
really
speaks in
applies.
front of
Okay,
Rahul
one
Gandhi,
at a
George
time,
Punaiya,
one at
when
a
they were
time.
doing a
One at a
Musalman
time.
Jodo Yatra.
One at a
Can I
time.
finish?
I'll lower your fader. 1 second. Sanjay Jha, yes, make your point. Finish.
Yeah, Rahul, let me tell you, there's a very famous quote of George Orwell, who famously wrote 1984. It applies to the BJP. I'll tell you what the quote is. Those who control the present control the past. And those who control the past control the future. That's exactly what the BJP is doing. When Sumant talked about why are you going into the past? Why are you talking about an emperor who died 318 years ago? That's the BJP's objective. They can't live in the present because they have nothing to show. So you mislead people on issues of something that will happen in 2087.
Okay, let me
and
bring
you
in
cannot
Mr. Ajay Alok to respond and Dr. Ranganathan final statements and we wrap out. Yes, Ajay Alok, respond please.
First of the thing, we have nothing to show. You see it every day when you sit in your early house, Sanjay Jha. That's what we have done to the coastal roads. Every day you watch it with your own naked eyes and you can't believe it. Well, what we have to show. So don't tell me about it, because if I talk about development, there are 2,000 things which you cannot match our pace and acceleration both. So forget about development. Today we are talking about basic things. That's religion, that division of religion, and that is being accelerated by you guys. The hatred, you are promoting it against the majoritarian population living in this country. You guys are just acting like Jaychand and Mansingh of this Hindu population, which is not tolerated, which cannot be tolerated. And your intellectual hypocrisy should be exposed to everyone.
Okay, blame game is not addressing the real issue, Dr. Ranganathan. The real issue is this. Why is a bunch of people knowing fully well that there are sensitivities involved, majoritarian sensitivities involved, or majority community sensitivities involved, why are they walking all across those? That's the fundamental question, and who stops that?
Yes, so Rahul, I was just to make one point to counter the claims of a Congress apologist who considered my exposing Aurangzeb with 12 facts as hate speech. But before I come to that, I want to just say that Ajay Alok is right when he talks about 18% population and people saying that's fake news. Well, Sanjay, my good friend, 14% was the 2011 population. By that logic, Would you say that India's population is only 1.2 billion right now? No, people say it's 1.4, 1.5 billion. So Ajay is right. In the intervening 14 years, the Muslim population has increased possibly to, they are saying 204 million, possibly might be higher. So let's not go by 2011 census. That's not fake news. Now let me come to the Congress apologist who possibly celebrates Sajjan Kumar when he perpetrated the Sikh genocide. I don't know, you have to ask him, because that is akin to celebrating Aurangzeb, who perpetrated the genocide of Hindus. So would you say that we should not stop people like him, a doctor, celebrating Sajjan Kumar, who perpetrated the anti-Sikh genocide?
Okay.
Would that be saying that you are being hateful? No. So when you say, as you rightly said in your primer, there are laws in Germany and European countries that stop people from eulogizing Hitler, that stop people from denying Holocaust. Why are they there? Likewise, why are you celebrating these barbarians here and saying hate speech when you just mentioned the facts? Likewise, I'd like this apologist veterinarian to say that Sajjan Kumar should be celebrated or should not be celebrated, and people who are celebrating it is wrong.
Dr. Raman, respond. Quickly, respond.
This is the problem with Congress apologists.
Okay, let him respond.
I didn't get jobs. I didn't get my positions by
No, Dr. Ranganathan, let him respond now, please. Yeah,
okay?
Let him respond.
He launched a personal attack. He called me a veterinarian. I'm more than happy to show my MD degree. You can get it validated
I don't want this to be, this is becoming personal
job.
and it's not going anywhere. I need to step in. Yes, let's not get personal. The fact of the matter is, viewers, yes, I know you didn't. I'm just saying, let's not.
My monologue, a hate speech.
Okay. One second. Gentlemen, let's roll it back. You see, viewers, the fundamental issue is this, that if a red line has to be drawn, it has to be drawn in a sensitive matter like this very quickly. Waiting is only going to exacerbate the situation. So if the BJP feels so strongly as the upholder and guardian, so-called guardian of Hindu interests, it must act legislatively. And the opposition, if it believes that the BJP or believes that hate speech has no place, or individuals that flag a certain reaction in another community, their eulogization has no place in society, must support that legislation. It'll be very simple. You introduce it, we'll find out who is in favor of what.